Hello there. This is an email from Ruthie. Ruthie says, was just wondering if you could speak a bit about meltdowns and low general life coping thresholds in recovery. Only it seems like in my recovery, the slightest thing will completely send me over the edge and I'll get uncontrollably emotional over something and that I know is not the end of the world. Someone ate a piece of coffee and walnut cake I'd saved for myself after work and I got home and cried for over half an hour. Sorry, I shouldn't laugh. I'm just laughing because I used to do the same sort of thing, despite there being other food in the house. Also, non-food related stuff too will suddenly get me disproportionately upset. I feel like maybe I'm turning out to be a weirdo without anorexia. Is all this overly emotional stuff normal in recovery? Did you experience it? What about anorexia recovery causes it? Yes, I did experience it. I was actually quite differently before I was in recovery. I would say I was actually quite emotional, although I was like emotional, as in like I was just pissed off emotional the whole time. I was just grumpy. I think I was perpetually hangry when I was not in recovery. And so I was just kind of like, I was a bitch, really. And then when I went into recovery, the bitchiness didn't go immediately and it was coupled with quite erratic emotions, just like you described there, Ruthie. If I would cry or feel like I was going to cry, or just have a tantrum, get really mad, have a little fit if something like that happens. Yeah. So, but not just stuff like that. I remember once I was stuck in a traffic jam. I had a complete meltdown, like a screaming, hitting a steering wheel. It's a traffic jam. Anyway, well, I think that a lot of the time when you're in recovery, your body's just doing a lot of things and it's really tired. I know that before I was in recovery, I sort of knew I was tired, but before I started really resting, I had no idea how tired I was. And then that tiredness really hit me. It's like my body just went boom. I kind of crashed. And I just think that our bodies finally, when we start eating more food, our bodies finally start letting go of that, I've got to keep going kind of migration thing. And they just go, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. And when we're tired, we are emotional. And when we're hungry, we are emotional. And so I think you've always been tired and hungry the whole time you've been restricting, but then when you stop restricting and you start going into recovery, your body actually starts to relax and allow all of those emotions to come out. So, being emotional is, well, it's quite a waste. It takes a lot of energy. So I think that for most of us, when we're heavily restricting, our bodies aren't going to waste that kind of energy on that kind of thing. Your body just wants you to move and not eat very much and migrate. So I know that for me, when it just seemed like my emotions were quite dampened when I was not in recovery, when I was restricting. And then when I stopped restricting, they stopped being dampened. And it was like just everything was really upset. My body was really upset. My brain was really upset. And I actually had a lot to be upset about, if I think about it. I'd wasted 10 years of my life. I didn't really have any friends. There was lots of things to be upset about. The fact that I hadn't been quite as upset about them as I should have been before I started recovery, it's like, for me, and I can only talk about my personal experience, but for me it was like there was just a bit of a wall between me and my emotions when I was restricting. And I've heard other people tell me that as well. I think that's one of the reasons that people who have had any trauma or anything like that an eating disorder, or once they've developed an eating disorder, it has that attractiveness to maintain. I felt like there was a wall between me and other people, connecting properly with other people for sure. But there was even a wall between me and connecting with my own emotions. Like sometimes when I was restricting, something would happen and I would think, I should be really upset about that, but I wouldn't feel it. And part of me would be like, this is weird, I should be really upset about this. And I still didn't feel it. I remember my mum's best friend died, and she was like an auntie to me. We used to even call her auntie. She was just lovely, lived in the village. And like she died, and I just felt like I should be upset. But it's like, I felt I should be upset, but it was just weird. I was just like, what is wrong with me? Anyway, whereas now, start blubbing at the slightest thing. But anyway, so I think as we start to eat and our bodies just go, oh, thank God, I don't need to migrate anymore. It can start, our bodies in the same way let us, oh, I can start allowing you to feel like more physical pain and things like that. There's no point when you need to migrate. The body's a bit more like, I can start allowing you to feel more emotional. And so for many of us, our emotions skyrocket. And then it all evens out. It's a bit like in the same way your hunger skyrockets and then it all evens out. Many of us find that our emotions skyrocket and then it all evens out. A lot of that can be to do with hormones and just stuff. You know, when you're a teenager, it's because stuff is, for a number of years sometimes, stuff is just happening in your body. Your body's doing stuff. That's why teenagers are known to be so emotional and tired and hungry. And when you're in recovery, your body's just doing stuff again, which is why most of us are emotional and tired and hungry. That's okay. I think that the best strategy is a sense of humor. Because sometimes you'll be able to laugh at yourself, like with that cake incident. That's kind of funny, isn't it? And I think that the more you can just bring your sense of humor into it and allow other people to remind you of your sense of humor as well. Because I know for a long time, everybody was like treading on eggshells around me because I didn't really have a sense of humor when I was restricting. And then more and more as I came out of that, people would start to be like, that's kind of funny that you're mad about that. And I'd be like, yeah, it's kind of funny that I'm mad about that. And so it's sometimes it takes a little bit of a while to remind yourself that you do actually have a sense of humor. And it is quite funny that you freak out about things like coffee and walnut cake. And lesson learned, buy more coffee and walnut cake so that other people can have some too. And there's always some left for you. Best of luck, Ruthie. I hope things are going well. And allow those emotions to run riot. Allow yourself to cry. Allow yourself to laugh. In the same way you're responding to that physical and mental hunger, respond to your emotions as well and enjoy the fact that you have them. Hope that helps.